Hello everyone. Welcome to our talk with Jean Caggiano. I am so excited. Thank you so much for being with us. We're diving today about planting seeds, a conversation about growth, resilience, and patience. And I'm very honored to have Jean with me today. She's an advocate for education. She's a speaker and an author with over 20 years of experience in education. And she has an inspiring journey, and she's gonna share her knowledge and wisdom later on. She's the inspiration behind and the founder behind Gems of Hope. It is an international, initiative about inspiring people to share their struggles and their triumphs afterwards. In education, she's over 20 years, and she's collaborating with the Fund Built program under the labor of U.S. Government, and she's inspiring, and she's helping students internationally. So I'm very honored and very pleased and happy to have you with me, Jean, and welcome.
Thank you, Maria. It is certainly an honor to be here with you today and to be able to share some of the things that's been afforded to me in my journey that can possibly help others along their journey. I know that our topic is planting seeds, and I live in sunny Florida in the United States, and we just moved into the season of spring. Not sure what season you're in, where you're at around the world, but I'm in the spring season, and I'm looking to plant some more seeds today that just may be the ones that will feed you or your family in the future. Thank you very much, Maria, for the wonderful introduction, and thank you for asking me to come speak to your group of people, your family.
Thank you. Thank you so much once more. And yes, it is springtime in Cyprus as well. So let's start planting more seeds. And I would like to ask you to share with us, having in mind this idea of planting seeds in your journey, what is the first thing that comes in your mind, an experience or a moment in mind about your journey in planting seeds?
Oh, that's a fabulous question. I really, when I hear that question, the first thing that I thought of is as a little girl, one of the things that I enjoyed is we lived on a farm for some of my upbringing, and I knew that in the springtime after we would get the garden planted, I would find myself out there when those tomatoes would start to get nice and juicy on the plant. And it got to where if they were looking for a little genie and they knew that the tomatoes were hanging on the plants out in the garden, they would probably find me out there because just biting into that sun-warmed tomato that's just come off the vine. And if I remember to take that salt shaker with just a little dab of it, it is one of the sweetest flavors from my childhood that I can remember is that tomato coming from the garden of my family's own work that helped that to grow and become something I could enjoy. Thank you. Good
So
question.
that's a very powerful moment, and having in mind that experience where you've planted the seed, you've taken care of that seed, and it blossoms to this beautiful tomato. Let's transfer it into our real world in the sense of our journey, our personal journey, either personal or professional, where things, unfortunately or fortunately, I would say, sometimes they don't turn out at the beginning as we have planted. So, were there any times where you felt that you were planting seeds in your life and they were not blossoming, they were not flourishing the way you were expecting at that moment at all, or even they were taking more time to grow up and become this beautiful tomato? So were there times like that? And if so, how did you keep yourself motivated?
That's a good question too, because I referenced that tomato, which is a very quick producing fruit. I also know that there are some seeds that will take years before you would receive the fruit from them. And sometimes when I was a little girl, we would plant some of those seeds, and I didn't understand why they didn't grow so quickly. For example, an average fruit tree can take anywhere from 3 to 7 years before you actually see the fruit. So those trees that we've planted, fruit trees have a lot of spiritual parts to them as well. But when we're looking at seeds and we're wanting to see the future with them, we have to think about the time and all of the other elements that are required for that seed to grow. And from my understanding and from my own experience as a gardener myself, I know that on average, to get one seed that's going to produce, you need to plant three. So it's that piece that you won't get fruit from every single seed that you plant. And with that mindset, knowing that every one of them that I plant, there's going to be at least one that's going to fall off on the wayside, or even one that's going to just shrivel up and not even really become. It makes room, though, for that third one to come in so powerful. And in its time of growth, the ultimate result will be even sweeter fruit that it's had more room. So, one of the things that we must remember when planting seeds is that not every one of them is going to grow, and they're not going to necessarily grow to look exactly as we would like them to. Today, we live in a world that is not always perfect. So sometimes, as I've seen in my own garden, there are flowers that don't necessarily have all of their petals, but they're just as beautiful as the others. There's a couple different pieces, though. Thank you for asking that question. I know I could talk.
So wonderful. The way you explain things, taking nature into our conversation and bringing out the exact result that you want to the message you want to pass through our talk. And it's amazing how you said that not every seed will will blossom the way you expect it, but still it's beautiful. And this is one of the biggest mindset shifts that helps people realize that even if things don't turn out the way we expect them to, it means that there is still room for growth, still room for allowing for that to happen. And having that in mind, people get frustrated because of this. I know you so beautifully explained that it is okay to happen, but when they get frustrated and will be because they don't see the results, what would you practically suggest for them to do in order how they can trust this process? I mean, some insights from your journey.
That's a good way to add to it. I would like to say that I have learned that in planting seeds, they don't grow in every environment. We have to find the right environment for the right seeds. So, what seeds are you planting today, and what fruit are you wanting to receive? You have to take time to look at the environment that you're growing it in. If it's not an environment that is empowering, that is uplifting, receiving the nutrients and all of the sunlight, I love sunlight, but all of that sunlight, those are all parts of that seed being able to grow to be its greatest. So, without even the smallest little component of those pieces that are needed, it will interfere with the end result. So, if you're getting frustrated, you may have to step back and take time to think about where do you need to go next, or where is it that what is it that's missing? I've got an example. I know that papaya was one of the plants that I struggled for the longest time to get that seed to grow. I did a lot of research. I had to step back and say, well, what am I doing wrong? Why are my seeds not starting to sprout? And I had to try a new way. So in our lifetime, same thing. We're going to run into things that are going to get in our way, things that didn't produce what we wanted to. And sometimes we have to put it down, but other times we have to pick it up and reconfigure and rethink it so that we can still get it to grow the way we would like it to. Good question.
Amazing. Another amazing approach. And I like I'm going to share it again. I love the way you explain things. It's very, you can, when you talk, I visualize the garden, I visualize the papaya, I visualize all the research you said you will be doing to see what's going wrong, which is not going wrong, that you have not been using the way that papaya needs treatment, the caring, the all the part that combines into bringing it into its blossom state of being. So thank you again for sharing. And I would like now to, let's say people that they haven't been planting seeds. They don't know how to plant seeds and it's something new to them. It's a new journey. What would you recommend for those that they're starting now? What small seeds to start with to in order to put themselves into the process of learning how to plant seeds?
Ooh, that's a good question. Um, I would say it starts by taking and looking in the mirror and looking at yourself and determining what is it that you'd like to see from your own garden. What is it that you'd like to produce? And after you've given some thought of what it is that you would like to grow from within, then sit down with a plan. I've also learned that the seeds need lots of time in darkness. So you may already be in that time of darkness now. As a matter of fact, there's one seed that takes as long as, well, I mixed that up. There's one seed that only way that it can become the seed so that it can germinate is it has to go through massive fire. It has to go through the fire. So you may be going through the fire now, and once that fire has passed is when is now the time to open up and bloom and begin to grow. It takes time. As we noted with the seeds, it takes time to figure out exactly what is that seed needs. Each seed needs each different fruit. Each seed needs something different. So as we look at individuals in our professional world or in our personal world, and we meet others, we have to remember they may need something different than what we needed. So we have to have a perspective to where they're not the same seed as us. We each have our own fruit to produce. That seed, though, there's this pine tree seed, as I noted, that would not grow unless it is in the fire. So trust me, that darkness that you may be in now or in that fire is only just the beginning of sprouting what you have to come. Be patient. It takes time. The longest tree that I know is a caribou tree. It takes 70 years for it to produce fruit. So be patient as well. Make sure you're getting the right water, the right consumption, the right sunlight, as I mentioned. Who's shining on you, or who is it that you're looking up to that's shining? There's lots of components to growing. So find where you are and determine where you need to grow to be what you'd like to become. You get to choose, in my opinion.
So inspiring. Is no wonder why you are the founder of the Gems and Inspire. Is in your inspiration. You're an inspiration from the moment you start talking with your energy. It is so wonderful the way that you have placed that even people where they are in their darkest moments, they have the intention. You said to look within and see what it resonates and what you want to achieve. So setting your intention, even though if you're going through the shadow world, the shadow time of your life, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not going to grow. Is the intention and where you place direction to that makes the difference. And as you said, and I didn't know there was a tree that requires 70 years to grow. And would you like to share? Do you with the name? Do you know the name of this tree? I mean,
it is a caribou tree. As a matter of fact, there's an columnist, Nina Beth Cardin, that wrote about it. And in her column, she wrote, it says, about this time of year, the age-old Rabian story of Handi, the circle maker, makes its rounds. It goes like this. Handi was a minor miracle worker in the first century in Palestine, and once in his youth, he happened upon an old man planting a carob tree, Carob tree.
carob
Now,
tree. Okay.
now the carob tree is legendary for taking 70 years to mature, and he found it odd that someone was so advanced in his years and he was bothering to plant one. And he says, "Oh man," Honey called out, "what are you doing?" And the old man replied, "I'm planting a carob tree." And so he responded to him and said, "And do you believe that you'll live to eat of its fruits?" So he said, "No, but I ate carobs when I was young. So just as my ancestors planted for me, I am planting for my children." So this story is a part of her childhood, and so it really resonated with her. But the main thing that she said was the bonds of love and responsibility must guide the generations, else the world dies. And it's that tree, those trees that are essential part of our lives. So who is the tree in your family that's planted that is holding your generations in place while we decide what is it that we want to become and what is it that we want to bear fruit of? So I just felt that that story was perfect for this analogy of the seeds and how long it may take. So don't get in a hurry as you're pushing out there. I love the beautiful flowers. And yes, as a matter of fact, the shortest growing fruit are strawberries and blackberries. And well, we like pineapple, but that one takes about 2 to 3 years. I started with them years ago, and yes, I've got several that are blooming out back now, but it's taken years, some of the longer running ones. So thank you. That's good
So
analogies.
don't, for people that are watching us, don't hurry up. It doesn't mean that if you don't see the progress, if you don't see the progress now, it doesn't mean that it is not, you're not changing, you're not growing, you're not evolving. It requires consistency and intention and love and care and all the components, as you very beautifully said before, the environment around us to watch and see what helps and what's not helping us, so we can we can take care of the seeds and let it blossom later on. So, Jean, I like your wisdom. I love the way, as I said, that you're explaining things. And now I would like you to say a little bit about you. I know that you're launching a book in a few weeks. Would you like to share a little bit about that? I would be very glad to hear.
I am very excited. I am doing a book launch April 19th in Topeka, Kansas. It's been a little while since I've been there, but Topeka, Kansas is where I'm headed for a book launch. And this particular book launch, the book itself, it is actually 7 authors that's within this book, and each one of us have come through some obstacles in our lives. The various different types of obstacles. I know that there's one young lady speaking about her divorce that she went through and overcoming some of the struggles that imposes in the family with yourself, with your children, and all of the in-laws. It's kind of a lot of different things that can happen within your family. Also, there's another young person that's talking about sharing about her experience with her child and raising a child with some extra needs that compared to some of the regular, I don't know, regular is not the right word, but I apologize, a child with autism. I might mess that up on her, but again, there's several different stories. In my case, it was working my way coming out of a domestic violence after 14 years, just trying to find myself and redefine who am I instead of letting someone else to define myself. It is one of the books I am putting out, there's another book coming. I've got a couple others coming, but get the first one out there. So thank you for, I haven't talked much about it yet. So we just got the confirmation. Thank you. I can It's called Chronicles of the Chosen, Claiming What's Mine. So, looking at all of those obstacles in our life, and each one of the women share a place where they had to stop and think about who they were and what was it they were feeding to themselves, to their children in their environments, and what did they need to do to take action to get out of those environments so that they could create healthy, wholesome family units within their families as well. Well, it's quite a bit of struggles. It's been a bit of a struggle for each of us to even write it because we've learned that once you start unpacking some of those things from your past, it's not, we can sit here and talk about it, but to sit down and start writing about it, it becomes a struggle. But those are seeds. Those stories are seeds that were placed within each one of us at some point in our life, and we had to give them the right materials, the right sunshine, the right environment overall, so that we could become who we are created to become. I'm excited about it.
I'm excited too, and it's an amazing book that's going to contribute a lot to help in helping people to realize that through the struggles there is wisdom behind, and we never lose faith in whatever each one is going through. As we said, with planting seeds and taking the time and allowing our shadow and our in the process to flourish and the time needed and become resilient in whatever each one of us is going through. So it's amazing that all these stories are getting together and they're going to be released. And I would like you to share a little bit more about how you became an educator and what was the drive behind, how did this happen? I mean, share a little bit about that because you're an international educator, not just an educator, and
Absolutely.
you're working with people across many countries.
Thank you. One of the purposes for the book, there is other authors in it, and one of them is international. She's in Africa. I forget which country she's in right now. We'll all hopefully we'll get to meet each other within the next couple weeks. But got to regroup the question. I apologize. Okay, back to the educator part. There was a seed placed in me when I was in first grade, and it was a great first grade teacher. Today, I can't tell you what her name was, but I know being the child I was, coming from the home, the broken home that I was in, I admired her because she was happy to see me every day. And she was not afraid to tell me that I might need to go wash my face because sometimes the little kids would pick on me. I was homeless and I didn't necessarily have some of the same things as some of the other children sitting around me. And so this teacher in first grade, she was so kind. She'd make sure that she'd give me something to eat when I'd get there. And she'd ask me if my face was dirty. She might recommend I go to the little girl's room and just wash my face a little bit and try to get myself ready. Well, I admired her. And as I was homeless and I moved around from different places at a period of my childhood, I learned that I decided I wanted to be a teacher because I admired her so much. In my journey, there were many obstacles that got in the way for me to get to that point, to blossom as a teacher. And it wasn't until my 40s where I decided to step out of my comfort zone and to become that teacher that I was created to be. However, after I went on to college and I got my degree to be a teacher for elementary grades, I didn't even get a job in the elementary grades. I got a job up at the high school where I really needed to be because I didn't get the opportunity to finish high school. I didn't even get to go to seventh. I finished seventh grade, so I didn't even make it to high school. So that placement in that high school was exactly where this seed needed to go because that's the group of individuals that I needed to go to help because my own self as a young girl, I would have loved to have that education. I didn't. I got a different kind of education, created other seeds for me to be able to input into other people and let them see that you don't have to go through the traditional school system to still become a teacher. I revisited that dream of that little girl in first grade at age 40. It wasn't easy. I had to take some classes 2 times. There was even one class I had to take 3 times, and I still never passed it. It's okay. It just wasn't the class for me. I had to find a different class that would give me that credit so that I could still get my degree. So today I do, I went ahead, once I got into the high school and I was an elementary teacher, I'm like, oh no, this isn't going to work. I'm going to have to go get what I need for these young adults. And what did I do? I went back to school to get my master's degree so that I could understand some of my own reading disabilities that I had from my childhood, one from not necessarily growing up in the traditional education system, but I also found out that there was some other things from my upbringing that created some trauma that we don't learn as easy as someone else. So I learned I needed to take what I had, though, and turn it into that seed so that it would be able to help others to see that there's a way around. If you decide you want to become something, you can become something. You have to do extra work. And today, in the international world, I know that there was a point where I said, I want to speak to young people around the world. And at the little did I know at that time we would end up with COVID. Yeah, I know it did a lot of things that were not so nice. But I also know that Helen Keller said there's a lot of ugly, awful things in this world. However, there's a lot of miracles and beautiful things that are happening every day, and it's what we focus on. So what did I tell that class? I was standing before one of my college group classes, and I said, we're going to create some goals today. And I put it up on the board that I wanted to speak and work with individuals around the world. And we went to lockdown just a couple months later, and I discovered Zoom. And since 2020, I've been using Zoom to share bits of knowledge and education around the world. I've had the opportunity to work with some village school teachers there in Kenya, as well as there's several other countries that I have young people and older people. I say young people because in my book, everybody's young. I don't think any of us get to be as old as Methuselah. So that means don't matter what age you are young. So I get the opportunity to work with young people around the world, helping them to discover the gems or the beauty that they have within themselves and unpack them, those skill sets, those things that you love to do, those skill sets that you've already gotten. They're all part of those seeds that you can plant to produce something later. I just got done with the classroom of newest students coming in this morning, and they were sharing their vision boards and just going and being able to tell them, you've got this. They're not sure about it. This is the first time they got up on the front there in front of people telling about what they want to do. But I see the seeds that those young people already have in that classroom today. And if they choose to wait it out, and do the work and accept the sunshine and all of the other things that are within the environment that they have chose to come to, then they're going to blossom and bloom and become whatsoever they desire. Absolutely. Thank you.
I am so thrilled and so happy to have you here today. Honestly, it's my honor. I'm so touched by the way about your journey, the way you speak, the way you inspire people, and I'm so glad and they're very happy. I'm not just saying that; I feel it from my heart. They're
Thank you.
very happy to have you as their teacher. And the work you're doing is amazing. Keep shining, keep doing it that. And I'm so happy that you have shared your wisdom and your knowledge and your experience today. And if I would ask you, Jean, one takeaway to give out, you have given so much today, but one thing you want them to take with them and remember, they will remember everything, but just a takeaway, what would that be?
Thank you for that opportunity. I gave that a lot of thought because there's so many things that I could share for them to take away. But because of our analogy of the plants and how I brought in that tree, in this case, the that takes 70 years, as we must also, like that old man, must invest in planting trees, building new systems, and discovering new sources of energy that will yield fruit, perhaps only after many of us are gone. But that is the promise that we owe our generation. So, are you that 70-year-old tree that's going to plant that's going to give the fruit later? Or are you the one that's planting the seed for that 70-year-old tree that later your generations will be sitting under, enjoying the shade when it's hot, or enjoying the protection when it's raining, or most of all, enjoying the fruits thereof, the labor of the tree? My favorite book is called um, The Giving Tree. And in a short snippet, it is about a tree that gives everything it can to a little boy that it loved. And as it grew older and the young man grew older, the young man would come and talk to the tree. And at the very end of the story, without telling you the whole story, the stump of the tree is sitting there. And the old man, the young boy, is sitting on the stump of the tree. And the part of it is that you can keep giving, even when you feel like you have nothing left to give, as that tree that was planted because of the roots that were put there, even if the top isn't blooming as beautiful as you'd like it to be. Thank you.
Thank you. Once more, thank you for your wisdom, your sharing, your experience. Thank you for accepting my invitation. I want to wish, I want to wish, I don't know, I'm so touched. I want to wish whatever you want in your life and keep shining and keep helping people because the world needs people contributing the way you are. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Jean.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Maria, for having me as well. It's definitely been an honor that you would give me your platform and your group of people, your family, to share my wisdom with. I look forward to spending another time with you.
Of course, of course. Who knows where I might arrange? I mean, we get together for something bigger. It's only the
Yes,
beginning. So
absolutely. Yes,
we'll
ma'am.
stay connected and definitely we'll have that open mind that if the universe wants brings us together for something greater, we're open to that. Thank
Thank
you.
you again.
Bye bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.